a abrupt emergency. We are wrestling.
Been a fan of AEW since day one.
Did you ever think that we'd be, talking about a topic like this?
We are Wrestling Extras.
What is up? We are Wrestling Maniacs out there worldwide. I'm the host with the most, the best one, Donnie, here with...
What's going on, everybody? Danny Huckins here, man. 1/3 of We Are Wrestling. It's me and Donnie riding solo this week, man. And we got some cool extras that we're going to be talking about, man. Got a lot of cool topics that I feel like it's good that we're doing an extra because I don't necessarily know if they fit in the actual podcast. It's going to be up on Saturday.
That's right. And with, our busy schedule this week on the We Are Wrestling YouTube channel, we're going to be having the regular episode of the podcast. We're going to be having a couple predictions videos because in case you guys don't know, Night of Champions is taking place this Saturday. AEW Double or Nothing is taking place this Sunday. And of course, you already know we're going to be doing back-to-back watch-alongs as well. We have a lot of amazing content coming your way to the channel. But before we get into these extras, if you're not a We Are Wrestling Maniac yet already, and you're not a part of the thousands of subscribers, the best way to support us is by hitting that subscribe button now, turning on the post notifications. Videos be coming out of nowhere like an RKO, and of course, you already know the grind is real.
So, man, today for this extra, okay, so we were talking, a bunch of news has come out, and I figured a good place for us to start on this extra would be the official announcement that came out today from AEW's game, like the AEW video game official account on Twitter. Fight Forever, man, it's coming out June 29th. So we finally got a release date on a game that a lot of people kept speculating is if it was ever going to be getting released, because obviously, like, there was a lot of ups and downs when it comes to the making of the game. I did watch Kenny Omega on Swerve's podcast a couple months ago, and he said that they had to dial back a lot of like the brutality and a lot of the blood or whatever in order to get like a good rating for the game to get released. So that took them a long time. Other stuff took them a long time. Obviously, I'm pretty sure the whole brawl out situation happened, and they had to figure that stuff out to figure out if certain people were going to be in the game and. It was a huge nightmare. But June 29th, man, the game comes out, and I might have to, revitalize my Twitch to get that up and running when the game comes out. I'm pretty excited.
I got it pre-ordered already, man. I'm just waiting for the release date. We finally got the release date, and I'm very excited for this game. And I think the reason why it took a while was because AEW guys were very hands-on with the game. Kenny Omega really wanted to, make this game fun. Because a lot of us in the wrestling community, we have not had fun with a video game in so long. And I think Kenny Omega knows that, and that's why AEW partnered with, THQ, the, former gaming company that worked, on the old, WWE games, like, Here Comes the Pain, SmackDown versus Raw, the whole, Know Your Role, all the great games back in the day. THQ, was a big part of that. And, with AEW, they wanted to be very hands-on with the game, and they wanted to give us, a fun, unique game at the end of the day.
Exactly. And Ukes is actually in partnership with them. And Ukes was huge back in, the early 2000s with like the original, remember PlayStation 1, like the original SmackDown games. There was just something magical about those games. WWE, when it comes to their video games, like are their video games great to look at? Absolutely. Like the graphics are top notch.
2K does a fantastic job with the graphics.
It doesn't get any better than what they do. I just don't feel like for a game that comes out every single year, they don't really add too many new elements to it, because it almost seems like every year you're playing the same game over and again with little updates here and there or whatever. Which, I mean, those could just be DLCs that they could add to like the previous game or whatever to revamp it every year and a half, whatever. I don't feel like pro wrestling games, like, they're making them seem like they're like NBA and NHL and NFL and the Call of Duty games to where they're releasing them every single year. I don't really think
Mhm.
pro wrestling games should be like that.
And I can definitely dive into that a lot because one of my favorite games that I like to play, when I'm not, creating content or, working is NBA 2K. I've been, playing the game since, 13. And every year, it does get a little better at first. But after, so long, there's only so much you can really do with it. And I don't know. I just feel like a lot of these games, they do it, mostly for the money. They do it for, the microtransactions. That's one of my biggest problems with video games today. And why I really enjoy old school gaming is because all these microtransactions, and you got to pay for PlayStation Plus, you got to pay for Xbox Live, Nintendo, you have to pay to like play online. And it's just, money, money, money. And it's just not about the fun of it. And that's the thing, like with WWE 2K, I understand why they took that approach because 2K, is one of the most popular, gaming companies out there. NBA 2K is one of the most popular games out there out of, worldwide. And, for sporting games, they are at the very top. And here's my problem with WWE 2K games. And I have not had a 2K game that I fell in love with. The last WWE game, realistically, that I fell in love with was WWE 13. And I think that was, I think, the last THQ game for WWE before they did, or no, it was 14. That was the last one. Then they started going with 2K and 15.
Yeah, wasn't WWE 13, wasn't that when CM Punk was on the cover?
Dude, that game was so good. It had all the Attitude Era guys, they had all the current guys. The customization in that game was so awesome. And that's the thing
Yeah.
about THQ games, man. Like, I see so many people in the wrestling community coming at AEW for the horrible graphics, this and that, and they haven't even touched the controller yet for the game. And here's one of my, takes when it comes to video games. Graphics isn't everything. I'm picking gameplay over graphics any day. And I'm sorry, but I don't know how a lot of people can sit through a WWE game today when
Yeah.
literally you try to do a move, it's always a reverse. Always. That's not
Exactly.
fun.
Exactly, and Kenny Omega kind of explained, like, the direction that they want to take with this game. You want to have it like sort of old school, sort of arcade kind of style or whatever. And I'm like, I'm not a huge gamer, you know what I mean?
Same here.
I love the storytelling aspect of certain games, so there are certain elements of like the story mode or whatever in like the WWE 2K games that I like and stuff. But with those games, like I said, you know, you could easily add just DLCs, to where somebody has to pay extra money every couple of months or whatever, to download the new updates for that game. I don't think I don't think pro wrestling they should have games every single year. And Kenny Omega and a bunch of people affiliated with this game have said that they're gonna be going the DLC route. They're not planning on making another game for quite a while. So there's gonna be a lot of updates and a lot of things that go into this game. And I feel like
And I love that.
I feel like a lot of people are gonna have more fun with this game than they have for any of the WWE 2K games. I just feel like if you're an old school gamer, if you like that old school style, the PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, if you like that kind of style or whatever, give the
Fight
game a
Forever's your
chance.
game.
Give the game a chance, man. Don't trash it before you even have a chance to play it.
And that's the thing, like, I find hysterical is like so many people continue to come at the graphics, this and that. And it's like they haven't even played the game yet. And my opinion, I think that AEW Fight Forever is going to be more fun than any WWE 2K game out there. And you can call me crazy, but I think that, the old school arcade feel to wrestling games, that's what I miss. And I think
Mhm.
that AEW Fight Forever, they're not targeting, new fans. They're not trying to target them. For this game, they are trying to target the hardcore wrestling fans out there, the ones that played the old, THQ games, even, the No Mercy game that a lot of people, talk high on, like
One
you.
of the one of the best pro wrestling games, hands down, bro. If you have not played WWE No Mercy or WWF No Mercy for the N64, man, I know the N64. Unless you're a big retro guy, you're gonna be like, "The fuck, bro? There's a PlayStation 5 over here. Why am I gonna downgrade?" Trust me, the graphics may not be pretty to look at, but that game is fucking amazing, bro.
And honestly, man, at the end of the day, it's all about fun. And if you don't enjoy AEW Fight Forever, don't complain about it. Just go play your WWE 2K. If you're sick of WWE 2K like I am, go try Fight Forever. It doesn't hurt to try it. If you don't like it, return it to GameStop.
But
Unless you
I
digitally download it to your system, then you're fucked.
But bro, like I've been thinking about this game for a while, like because when it comes to pro wrestling games, like one of the main things that I look for in a game is, the story mode or the story, like what the story mode is gonna be like. Like AEW, they have so many different like companies that they work with, New Japan, Impact. Like who are we gonna see in the game? What downloads are we gonna have in the future? Like AEW is one of those companies that just it's a never-ending cycle. Like they just keep expanding, keep getting better. Like, are we gonna be able to, play a match in Wembley Stadium at some point? Like, there's just gonna be so many elements to this game that I don't think it's gonna be very hard to get bored with this game because AEW, unlike WWE, like WWE, they found a criteria that works for them, but AEW, they try different things. You know what I mean? So it's gonna be very hard to get bored with this game, I feel like.
And a lot of people are going to have to understand this. This is AEW's first game, so it's not going to be perfect. There's going to be bugs. There's going to be a lot of improvement that needs to happen to this game. But I think, overall, it's going to be better than what people are expecting the game to be. I think
Exactly.
that for me, the WWE controls for the game are so complicated. Like you have to do freaking combos like L2 square triangle, fucking X square, fucking 5. But now with AEW Fight Forever, I really hope the gameplay is simple. I
Should we
hope
talk?
that you don't have to do 100 different buttons to get a freaking maneuver.
Should we explain what happened at one of the last Blitzkrieg shows we went to when we
Ooh,
were
what
playing
happened?
when we were playing the new WWE 2K game, and
Go ahead.
there was a hell of a glitch, bro. I was in the crowd and I couldn't fucking find my way out.
Yeah, and then Sherm kept tombstoning us in the freaking crowd. Yeah, but I don't know. I feel like, it took a while, and I think that definitely for good reasons. Because I think if AEW, didn't adjust some of the violence that were going to be in the game, it probably would have been rated what Backyard Wrestling, the old games in like the early 2000s.
Yeah.
That was, rated, certain age you had to be to get the game. And I think AEW wants it to be more for like a wider audience for, even if kids decide they're sick of WWE, they can go play AEW Fight Forever. I love the arcade feel, and I think that it's all going to come down to preference. What do you prefer in a game, graphics or gameplay?
Exactly, and you also got to remember, like the AEW Fight Forever game was made for gamers by gamers. Kenny Omega's a huge fucking gamer, bro. I feel like that's all he does outside of fucking pro wrestling is fucking games. He had a Twitch that he streamed on for a long time. He's affiliated with a YouTube channel where he makes gaming content.
Goes
So
to gaming conventions too all the time.
yeah, he went a couple months ago to promote Fight Forever. I don't know how many people in WWE are actually gamers or actually really give a fuck. So I
Well,
do feel
2K
like
takes control of that, and they usually have a few independent wrestlers come in. They do the motion graphics and all that.
yeah, LA
2K
Knight,
really
LA
takes
Knight
the
did
reins
it.
on that stuff.
LA Knight did it a couple games ago. He fucking did all the motion capture and stuff like that.
Young Bucks did a while back too.
So I don't know. I'm looking forward to the game. Is it going to be perfect? Probably not, but it's going to be fun, man. It's going to be something different and something enjoyable. And I feel like it's going to take us, well, it's going to take me back to when I was, 11, 12 years old, going swimming at my aunt and uncle's house. And then, me and my buddy going to my house and fucking, playing a couple of exhibition matches on, SmackDown Know Your Role. And it's just, it's just going to take me back to that time, man. a very
And that's like
nostalgic
what I'm
feelings.
looking that's what I'm looking forward to. Like that's what I want this game to do is, take me back to, that time as a kid. Because back in the day I used to love playing wrestling games and it's like nowadays 2K is just WWE 2K is just not fun. And like I just
Yeah.
can't like I play it for a little bit and then I just can't continue to play it. Just like NBA 2K nowadays. I can't friggin' play it after a while. It's just boring. The game I've been playing a lot of is actually THQ, SpongeBob, Cosmic Shake. That's like the latest game I've been playing.
I have
Mad
no
fun.
idea. I'm not like a hardcore gamer, so I have no idea what this man is talking about.
I'm not a hardcore gamer, man, but I love me some old school Nickelodeon. Check out Best One Donnie.
But anyway, yeah. So Fight Forever is coming out June 29th. Make sure you guys go and pre-order that. I'm sure if you know how to use a computer, which obviously you probably do, you can find out all the information. So now I say we get on to the next topic, man, and it's gonna be blended in. So we had originally 3 topics for this extra, but I figure with the topic 2 and 3, they could sort of merge into each other because it has to do with the same thing. So apparently, a couple of months ago, recently came out that AEW rehired Ace Steel. Ace Steel was obviously a really good friend of CM Punk. He was like one of CM Punk's trainers or whatever back in the day. He's the one notoriously known for biting Kenny Omega during the whole Brawl Out situation. Um, so it came out recently that a couple of months ago they rehired him to help with creative stuff like that. Um, and now it's coming out because there's a lot of backlash with a lot of journalists and a lot of people in the IWC. This guy, Kenny Omega, an EVP. How are you going to have him come back to the company? He's a very expendable guy. Like there's you don't need him. Like why is he back or whatever? Apparently, CM Punk did not like the fact that TK hired Ace Steel back, but he told Ace Steel that he wasn't able to attend any of the tapings for AEW. He had to do his job remotely, so he wouldn't be able to go to the arena or anything. He
Yeah,
feels
they
like
yeah, they had to make sure that, he had his friggin' rabies shots. They didn't
yeah.
want him friggin', biting somebody and giving them rabies.
So with that whole entire situation, it came out today or yesterday that apparently, obviously, CM Punk, he's scheduled for AW Collision June 17th, which is the premiere. It's supposedly in Chicago. I have heard over the last day or so that they have 2 venues picked out. So if it's going to be in Chicago, if Punk's going to be there. They also have booked Daly's place. So if they're in
Ooh,
if
Philly's
they're
place.
going to be at Daly's place, that means Punk's not going to be there.
Mhm.
Um, so they took off CM Punk off all the marketing and everything. And he's upset that Ace Steel's not going to be able to, be at the shows and stuff. Apparently, TK has sent some legal papers to CM Punk about this whole situation. I don't know in great lengths or great details about what's going on, but this was put out by Raj Giri, who is, I think he's one of the founders of Wrestling Inc. He's a very well known, established guy in the
Yeah, I've
journalism
heard his
field.
name before.
So I do think that this is true. He's put out a lot of stories that end up becoming factual information. So this whole thing is fucking nuts, man. Like they were building AW Collision around CM Punk. They even had promotion for Samoa Joe to be there. Samoa Joe's a Ring of Honor guy. Samoa Joe or CM Punk wanted to have his first program with Samoa Joe.
Which we
So
covered on the podcast a few weeks ago.
So what the hell is going on, man? I want your opinion on this.
I could tell you what the hell is going on, and that's AEW is in a very fucked up situation because they continue to let their drama get out to the wrestling news, which is not good at all. WWE at times they do, but there's other things that they're able to keep behind closed doors. But with AEW, especially, the whole Ace Steel thing, Ben and I, we covered it last, the latest episode of the podcast. And, I said it's all right if he's back with AEW as long as he's not freaking biting people, especially the EVPs. But, yeah, there's 2 ways to look at it with Ace Steel. The first way, you bring him back so that you can make CM Punk happy because CM Punk still draws money to this day. Or the second option is, not a good move for AEW to bring him back because of how much drama he brought to AEW. Because as soon as he showed up on screen, CM Punk's ego started to really, get involved with, the product.
A little update on this whole thing, and I did forget to mention this. It obviously does have to do with a lot of what we're talking about. I heard that it was Chris Jericho's idea to bring Ace Steel back as sort of a way, to prove that everybody can work together, everybody can get along, and because AEW's locker room does get a lot of flack for
Yeah.
the environment, people not being able to work together. So apparently, it was Jericho's idea for TK and AEW to rehire Ace Steel,
And
just
that
to
does sound
show
like a
out,
Jericho thing, though, because
just
Jericho, is trying to fix the
yeah,
bridge because, Jericho has said some things about CM Punk, but at the end of the day, they might not like each other, but they do respect each other. And Jericho, of course, has a lot of love for the Elite as well for, giving
mhm.
him, the second chance in pro wrestling and having him fall back in love with the sport.
Exactly, and I think it was the Elite that actually brought Jericho in. They were the ones that set up a meeting between between TK and Jericho, and when Kenny Omega did the matches at New Japan with Jericho, when he
Mhm.
was the Painmaker or whatever it was. So this whole situation, I don't know what they're planning. I don't know what's going on. Now AEW and TK are denying that they ever hired this guy back, and I feel like TK is saying that because of the backlash that it's getting. Obviously,
Mhm.
you know what I
Oh, of
mean.
course. And it
Uh,
doesn't help either that a lot of, the AEW haters, like Jim Cornette and,
Eric
even Eric
Bischoff,
Bischoff, they're going out and they're expressing their opinion. So a lot of, fans are going to listen to them more than AEW because, of course, all the drama has been happening in AEW and bringing back a guy who did bring a lot of drama and a lot of backlash to their company. Like, I don't blame a lot of people for not wanting this man back
yeah,
because, the whole incident happened, with the whole brawl out situation and, Ace Steel friggin' bit Kenny Omega's arm.
yeah, but like I've said before, man. I feel like I don't know Ace Steel. A lot of people don't know who this fucking guy is. I think I've only seen pictures of him. Um, but
Looks like a dog on rabies.
people have to remember he was the only one in this situation. It was the Elite, it was Punk, it was Ace Steel. I do feel like Ace Steel's getting a lot, like he's getting hate because of the whole biting situation. I feel like if he didn't do that, people would be like, what the fuck ever.
Mhm.
Why the fuck would you bite another guy? I don't know. I fail to understand his mindset
He's
going
got
into
them
that
sharp teeth,
situation.
Danny. He's a shark.
Um, but I do understand, like, I may even if you don't trust Ace Steel, I trust Jericho. I don't think Jericho would agree to allow something to happen, even though let's put it out there, all right? Jericho, Moxley, CM Punk, the Elite, they do not own the company. This is TK's company. What he says goes. He's the boss, above anybody else. But I don't think Jericho, like obviously TK, is gonna listen to Jericho. TK watched Jericho when TK was a teenager, you know what I mean? So it's almost like, TK's his boss, but he looks up to him or whatever. I don't think Jericho would allow something to happen if it was going to jeopardize the locker room. And if
Mhm.
Jericho's okay to have this guy back, if it's going to make, the locker room, maybe some people would be upset about it. Apparently Kenny Omega cut a promo at the end of Dynamite last week, and he subtly hinted at friends becoming enemies becoming friends, and like a lot of people are saying that he was referencing CM Punk during that promo. I don't know if you got a chance to hear it.
Mhm.
But I don't know, man. Like there's so many
Well, there has
different
been
twists and
reports that
turns.
one person from the Elite has been wanting to make things right with CM Punk, and I feel like
That's
if
Kenny Omega.
we're diving into it between the Young Bucks and Kenny, I feel like Kenny's the type of person to want to make things right, to not only, benefit the company, but to, get the morals back in the locker room.
Kenny Omega does seem like one of the guys that, very easy to very outgoing, very easy to talk to. He doesn't, Ken from like everything I know, and I've never met the guy you have. He doesn't seem like, oh,
Very soft spoken.
I'm the mighty Kenny Omega, fuck
No,
everybody.
far from that.
Yeah,
There's
he
a
does.
reason why a lot of people in AEW Day One fans, they were pissed off about the way he was being booked because they wanted him to be booked like he was in New Japan. And Kenny Omega's goal in the beginning of AEW was to put these new talent over so that the show can revolve around everybody, not just Kenny. And then, it became a point where a lot of fans were expressing their frustrations because they wanted the cleaner back. And then Kenny went on to, become an AEW world champion, having a historic, heel run. And, the rest was history.
I do hope that we get Kenny Omega and MJF feud before 2024.
2024. But I don't know, man. Like with Ace Steel, it's two ways to look at it. And I feel like I understand why CM Punk wants Ace Steel to be there because during, the brawl out, the all out situation that happened, like it was CM Punk and Ace Steel versus everybody. And CM Punk knows when he comes back to AEW that he's really not going to be on the best side of the locker room. A lot of guys, were on the elite side during this whole situation. There's some people that have CM Punk's back, but his circle is a lot smaller than it once was. And, if to have CM Punk, be happy and be comfortable, if bringing one of his buddies is the thing you have to do, then you have to do it. You just have to make sure to put a muzzle on his face so that he doesn't bite anybody when he's there.
Exactly, man. I mean, you got to do what you got to do at the end of the day. You got to. You also don't want the morale in the locker room to.
And I see why Tony
diminish.
Khan's getting all this backlash, all right? Because the thing is, he's the boss at the end of the day, and he needs to be running this company. This is not a circus. This is pro wrestling. And he's running it like a fucking circus.
It seems like it's a circus, bro. Like,
and I want AEW to succeed. I want AEW to get things right. They are about to be in a 90,000 friggin' arena, Wembley Stadium. They have a lot of big things going for them. And the last thing Tony Khan and AEW needs is all of this backlash and all of this drama. So, there is a part of me that feels like maybe you need to cut the toxicity out of AEW, maybe cut CM Punk and Ace Steel. But then another part of me is like, well, if we can make things right and everybody can just get on the same fucking page, AEW could really take off and be number one eventually.
Exactly, but everything that happens, behind closed doors in the locker room, all this drama and all this fighting and all the stuff that gets put on social media, social media and the internet, it's a double-edged sword.
This
right?
ruined pro wrestling.
It's good that it gives everybody a voice, but it's also bad that it gives everybody a voice because everybody feels like they have a right to their opinion, which they are. I'm not gonna sit here and say that people shouldn't talk about what they want to talk about. But every time something happens backstage at an AEW show, that gives a lot of the naysayers and a lot of the haters ammunition to go on social media and trash the company. Oh, look at these fucking assholes, Vince wouldn't let that happen. It just
and it
seems
always
like
comes out, which is not good.
it seems Tony Khan's still a young guy. I think he's in his like early 40s, late 30s, something like that. Still very young guy. A lot of the guys that he has signed to the company, he looked up to when he was coming up as a pro wrestling fan. I feel like he's trying his best to please everybody and he's trying to become friends with everybody instead of being the boss. Like, no, this is my fucking company. This is the way things are gonna fucking go. I just feel like TK is at this point to where,
and that's the big mistake here because I feel like that's why one reason why Eric Bischoff is so vocal about TK and AEW because Eric Bischoff made that mistake when he was in control in WCW. He would push, the NWO. He would push his boys. Vince Russo, another guy that, he also, pushed certain people that he liked. And that's something that like TK is going to have to realize is that you can't, be friends with everybody. You need to be the boss. Like, yes, it's good that these, pro wrestlers have more creative freedom. More of these, wrestlers, they're able to, show what they get to do because in the other promotion, they weren't being used properly.
Mhm.
But you have to draw the line at some point. Like, enough is enough. Like, when it comes to it, with like AEW, I feel like they give their wrestlers a little too much freedom. But then WWE, they're the complete opposite. They're way too structured. There has to be a
Exactly.
common ground.
Exactly. Like, I love AEW for the simple fact that, like, you see these guys on TV. I've said it before. Like, you can see these guys on TV on a national television show on Wednesday, and then you could go to fucking
Indie show.
bumfuck New York on Saturday and fucking, actually meet them and, get that opportunity, get to know them as people. You don't really get that at WWE. I feel like WWE's gotten way too big. AEW will get there someday. I mean, they're
And
doing
WWE is starting to low key do it with Fitterman Sports, but hopefully eventually they can, start, doing more surprises in the independents because not only, would it be easier on their talent to work a little bit of a lighter schedule, but you can definitely, gain more popularity for like, let's say you bring like a baby face like Johnny Wrestling to, have him instead of going to live events every weekend, have him go to some places, all over, the United States for, a few months. That would be a great way to get your baby face over. Imagine a little kid going to an independent show and then he gets to meet Johnny and then he goes, Johnny wrestles at the same, city that he met the fan. And that fan's going to remember that moment and Johnny Wrestling's going to feel like a superhero when he's out there.
Yeah, but sadly, everybody affiliated with WWE, like all the higher ups, man, they're money hungry. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So they don't want
I
to,
get it.
if they allow their talent to go do house shows and stuff like that, the amount of insurance that would have, because, the storylines that involve with a lot of these people and WWE would want to cut of that money. Therefore, a lot of the indies would lose money. And it was
Yeah, no, it's
just,
totally understandable, like, why it doesn't happen. It is understandable. But I just hope at the end of the day, AEW, they just get their shit together because we have a big show coming up and they need to make a decision ASAP. And they really need to start keeping things, behind closed doors.
exactly. Not everything has to be put in, in the public stratosphere. Although, like, we have a podcast, so I do enjoy it. It gives us fun things to talk about and dissect, and but at the end of the day, some things should remain, behind closed doors. So we're gonna have to see what happens, man. But we
We are
have
going to have to wait and
we have
see.
Night of Champions on Saturday. We have Double or Nothing on Sunday. We have a big weekend coming up. We'll have more content for you guys very soon. But I think
This week
that's
as
about
well.
I think that's about it for this extra, man. We pretty much covered everything. I don't know what else there is to add that we haven't already said.
Well, guys, we have lots of amazing wrestling content coming to the We Are Wrestling channel this week. Couple, pay-per-view reactions. We got, my weekly, wrestling reactions. We're also going to be having, some other content coming to the channel, including back-to-back watch-alongs for Night of Champions. Danny and maybe Ben will be doing it on Saturday. Sunday for AEW Double or Nothing. Danny and we're going to be doing a whole watch-along to that. But, guys, let us know in the comment section below your thoughts on the AEW topics we covered. Do you think Fight Forever is going to be worth it? If you guys enjoyed this week's episode of the We Are Wrestling Extra, make sure to smash that like button now. If you're not a We Are Wrestling Maniac yet already, subscribe, turn on the post notifications, follow us on, Spotify and Apple Podcasts where you can listen to us rather than watch us. Links down in the description below. You can go follow Danny and I on our social medias and other YouTube channels. All the links down below. In addition, you watch shorter clips of the podcast. We're going to start getting back on track and we're going to start posting daily shorts on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. All the links down below. And of course, to all the We Are Wrestling Maniacs out there worldwide, we are taking over. Peace.
check out the new vlog where Donnie gives MJF a fucking gift, man.
We are Wrestling Extra.